Do you think railways are safe because they run on tracks? Then imagine a train passing through a market so close to people that vendors have to pull back their vegetables seconds before the engine arrives, or a railway built along a cliff where one side is solid rock and the other side falls into a river valley, or a train that crosses a sea bridge where strong winds can stop service completely. And in the end, we will reach a railway so high above the earth that passengers are carried across frozen ground, thin air, and mountains where even breathing becomes part of the journey. Today, we are not looking at abandoned tracks. We are not looking at forgotten ruins. We are looking at railways that are still in use. Trains still run on them. Passengers still buy tickets. Locals still depend on them. Tourists still raise cameras and smile from the windows even when the train is moving across bridges, cliffs, jungle, ice, markets, and mountain passes that look like they were never meant for railways at all. Some of these lines were built for war, some were built for gold, some were built to connect isolated towns that had no other choice, and some were built simply because engineers looked at a mountain and refused to admit that it was impossible. 10 railways, 10 journeys, each one still alive, each one dangerous in its own way, and the most unbelievable one is waiting at the end. 10. Maeklong Railway Market, Thailand. Our first stop looks almost impossible. A normal railway track runs straight through a crowded market in Thailand. Not near the market, not beside it, through it. This is the Maeklong Railway Market, sometimes called the Umbrella Pull-Down Market. In the morning, the track is nearly invisible. Stalls cover both sides. Vendors place baskets of fish, fruit, vegetables, spices, and seafood so close to the rails that it seems no train could possibly pass. Then the warning comes, a bell, a shout, a horn in the distance, and in seconds, the whole market changes shape. Awnings fold back, tables slide away, baskets are pulled just a few inches from the steel rails. Tourists step backward. Vendors remain calm because they have done this thousands of times. Then the train arrives. Slowly, massively, almost brushing the edges of the stalls. It moves through the market like a metal wall, inches from food, people, umbrellas, and cameras. And then, as soon as it passes, everything returns. Awnings unfold, baskets slide back. The market breathes again. What makes this place dangerous is not speed, it is familiarity. People become used to danger when they live beside it every day. The train is part of life here, not a disaster. But one mistake, one distracted tourist, one child stepping too late, and the ordinary becomes fatal. The railway still runs, the market still opens, and every day, life moves aside just enough for the train to pass. 9. Pamban Railway Bridge, India. Now we travel to southern India, where a railway crosses the sea. The Pamban Bridge connects mainland India with Rameswaram Island. For more than a century, trains crossed over blue water, strong currents, salty wind, and sudden storms. Today, the new Pamban Bridge continues that connection with a modern, vertical lift design. But the basic feeling remains the same, a train crossing a narrow structure above the sea. Look out the window, and there is no city beside you, no road, no land, only water. On calm days, it can look beautiful. Fishing boats below, birds above, the horizon glowing in the heat. But this beauty hides the danger. This is a place where weather matters. Strong winds, rough seas, corrosion, and salt are not background details. They are constant enemies. A railway bridge over the sea is never just a bridge. It is a fight against movement. The water moves, the wind moves, the metal expands, rusts, and trembles. Every train that crosses depends on inspection, engineering, timing, and weather. When winds become too strong, services can be disrupted for safety. That alone tells you what kind of place this is. The danger is not always dramatic. It is not always a wave breaking over the tracks. Sometimes the danger is quiet. A vibration, a gust of wind, a crack too small for a passenger to notice, and yet trains still cross. Because for the people of Rameswaram, this line is not just a spectacle, it is connection. The sea separates them from the mainland. The railway holds that separation open. 8. Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, India. The Darjeeling Himalayan Railway is small. That is the first thing people notice. A narrow-gauge train, almost toy-like, climbing through the hills of West Bengal toward Darjeeling. It passes homes, shops, forests, sharp bends, crowded roads, and misty slopes. But do not let the size fool you. This little railway climbs into a landscape where mountains constantly move. The line rises from the plains toward the Himalayan foothills using loops, reverses, tight curves, and roadside sections that seem too close to everyday life. In some towns, the train passes just beside houses and street traffic. People stand close enough to wave at passengers. Dogs sleep near the track. Motorbikes and cars share the same narrow world. Then comes the mountain itself. Rainfall can trigger landslides. Slopes weaken. Roads crack. Debris falls. In the Himalayas, the ground is never completely still. That is what makes this railway dangerous. It is not one single bridge or one terrifying cliff. It is the constant negotiation between railway and mountain. Every curve asks the same question: will the track still be there tomorrow? The Darjeeling Himalayan Railway is also a UNESCO-recognized heritage railway, a living example of mountain engineering from another era. It was not built with the power of modern machines. It was built with patience, calculation, and a willingness to bring steel into terrain that did not welcome it. Today, tourists ride it for nostalgia. Locals see it as part of the region's identity. But beneath the charm is a hard truth. This is a small train climbing a restless mountain, and the mountain always has the final word. 7. Kuranda Scenic Railway, Australia. In far north Queensland, Australia, a train climbs from cairns into the rainforest. The Kuranda Scenic Railway sounds peaceful. And in many ways, it is beautiful. It passes waterfalls, tropical trees, deep ravines, and the ancient wet tropics landscape. The views are so spectacular that many passengers forget what they are actually riding on: a railway carved into cliffs. The line rises from near sea level to the village of Kuranda, passing through barren gorge. From the window, you may see rainforest pressing close on one side and steep drops opening on the other. Waterfalls crash down the rocks. Mist hangs in the trees. The track curves along slopes that look too fragile to hold a train. This railway was built through difficult terrain, where heat, rain, floods, rockfalls, and jungle all worked against the engineers. Even today, the route feels like a narrow line drawn through a world that does not want to be crossed. What makes Kuranda dangerous is the combination of beauty and exposure. The rainforest hides the cliffs until the train reaches them. Then suddenly, the view opens. The carriage feels small, the gorge feels enormous, and the track seems to cling to the mountain by force of will. For tourists, it is a scenic journey. For engineers and maintenance crews, it is a constant responsibility. Rain can loosen rock. Vegetation can hide movement. Water can cut into slopes. A railway through rainforest does not survive because it was built once. It survives because people keep fighting for it every year. The passengers see waterfalls. The mountain sees a weakness. 6. White Pass and Yukon route, Alaska and Canada. Now we go north to a railway born from gold fever. The White Pass and Yukon route was built during the Klondike Gold Rush, when thousands of people rushed toward the Yukon hoping to become rich. The terrain was brutal. Mountains, glaciers, gorges, snow, ice, and narrow passes stood between the coast and the interior, so they built a railway through it. The result is one of the most dramatic rail journeys in North America. The train climbs from Skagway through steep mountain scenery, crossing trestles and passing cliffs where the land falls away beneath the track. In winter, this world is snow and rock. In summer, it is green valleys, waterfalls, and sharp ridges. But in every season, the route feels exposed. This railway is dangerous because it was built where desperation met engineering. Gold seekers needed a way inland. Investors needed a route. Workers had to turn mountainsides into railway beds. The landscape did not become safe just because rails were placed on it. It remained steep. It remained cold. It remained remote. To ride the White Pass and Yukon route is to feel how thin the line is between civilization and wilderness. A train window separates you from cliffs, ravines, and a history of men who crossed this country with supplies on their backs before the railway existed. Today, the line is a tourist railway, but the scenery is not fake. The drops are real. The mountains are real. And the feeling is real too, that this train is moving through a place where human ambition once almost froze to death. 5. Death Railway, Thailand. Some railways are dangerous because of where they are. This one is dangerous because of what it remembers. The Thailand-Burma Railway is known around the world as the Death Railway. It was built during World War II under brutal conditions by prisoners of war and forced laborers. Thousands died from disease, exhaustion, hunger, and violence. Today, only part of the railway remains in regular use in Thailand, running toward Nam Tok through Kanchanaburi. Tourists ride it. Locals use it. Trains still pass along sections near the River Kwai. But the name has not disappeared, and neither has the atmosphere. The most famous sections run through jungle, over bridges, and along cliffside wooden viaducts, where the train seems to scrape between rock and river. Passengers lean out to take photos, but the landscape beneath them carries a darker weight. This was not just an engineering project, it was a human tragedy built into the ground. Every sleeper, every cutting, every bridge exists in the shadow of those who were forced to build it. That is what makes this railway different from the others. The danger is not only physical, it is historical. A train can move safely along the track today, but the route itself is still haunted by the cost of construction. The jungle has grown back. The river still flows. Tourists smile from the carriages, but beneath the sound of the wheels, there is another sound, the memory of men who never got to leave. The Death Railway is still in use, and every journey on it passes through a place where history did not simply happen, it suffered. 4. Tren a las Nubes, Argentina. In Argentina, there is a train whose name sounds like a myth. Tren a las Nubes, the train to the clouds. It climbs into the Andes of Salta province, reaching the famous La Polveria viaduct at more than 4,000 meters above sea level. At that height, the air is thin, the land is dry, and the mountains seem endless. This is not a railway that simply moves across land. It climbs into the sky. The route uses bridges, viaducts, curves, and high-altitude engineering to reach places where ordinary trains should not feel comfortable. The landscape becomes strange and empty. The colors change. The sky grows wider. The human body begins to notice the altitude. That is part of the danger. At sea level, a train journey is about distance. Here, it is about survival in thin air. Altitude affects passengers differently. Some feel dizzy. Some feel breathless. Some feel their heartbeat change. Even the train itself operates in an environment where temperature, wind, and height matter more than usual. Then comes La Polvorilla, a steel viaduct stretching across a desert gorge, with the train appearing to float above the landscape. From the window, the ground falls away. The track curves through open air. The train slows as if even the machine understands where it is. The danger here is not chaos, it is emptiness. There are no crowded streets, no jungle, no markets, only height, steel, wind, and the feeling that the earth has dropped away beneath the wheels. 3. Ferrocarril Central Andino, Peru. The Central Andean Railway of Peru is one of the great mountain railways of the world. It connects the Pacific coast with the high Andes, climbing through valleys, tunnels, bridges, switchbacks, and slopes that challenge both machines and people. Built in the 19th century, it was an engineering miracle for its time, and it still feels like one. This railway climbs to extreme altitude. It crosses steep terrain, where mountains squeeze the track into narrow corridors. It passes through dozens of tunnels and over many bridges. At times, it feels less like a railway and more like a metal thread stitched through the Andes. What makes this route dangerous is the combination of altitude and geology. The Andes are not gentle mountains. They are sharp, unstable, and enormous. Rockfalls, landslides, steep gradients, and thin air are all part of the landscape. A train here does not conquer the mountains. It negotiates with them. Every tunnel is a decision. Every bridge is a risk accepted. Every switchback is an admission that the mountain was too steep to climb directly. For passengers, the views can be breathtaking. For engineers, they are also warnings. Deep valleys below, cliffs above, tracks cut into rock. The Central Andean Railway is proof that human beings can build almost anywhere, but it is also proof that almost is a dangerous word. Because when a railway climbs into the Andes, it does not leave danger behind. It carries danger with it, curve after curve, bridge after bridge, tunnel after tunnel. 2. Qinghai-Tibet Railway, China. The Qinghai-Tibet Railway is one of the most extreme railways ever built. It runs from Scenic to Lhasa, crossing the Tibetan Plateau, where the air is thin, the ground is frozen, and the altitude reaches levels that most railways never approach. This is the highest railway in the world. For hundreds of kilometers, the track lies above 4,000 meters. It crosses permafrost, high passes, remote plains, and mountain regions, where the environment itself becomes an engineering problem. At this altitude, passengers may need oxygen systems. Workers had to build on ground that can thaw, shift, and weaken. A normal railway depends on stable earth beneath it. But here, the earth is frozen, and if it warms, the railway's foundation can change. That is the hidden danger of this line. It is not only height, it is time. Permafrost looks solid until it melts. A track can look perfect until the ground beneath it begins to move. Engineers had to design special solutions to protect the frozen foundation, including elevated sections and cooling systems in vulnerable areas. The railway is not just lying on the land, it is constantly interacting with it. And then there is the emptiness. The Tibetan plateau is vast, beautiful, yes, but also unforgiving. Outside the window are mountains, grasslands, lakes, snow, and sky. Human settlements can feel far away. At times, the train appears to be crossing the roof of the world alone. This railway is still in use. Passengers still ride it to Lhasa. But beneath the smooth movement of the train is one of the most difficult railway environments on Earth. Thin air above, frozen ground below, and between them, steel. Top 1. Pilatus Railway, Switzerland. And now, the final railway. At first, Switzerland may not sound like the most dangerous place on this list. It is organized, beautiful, precise, famous for safe trains and perfect timetables. But on Mount Pilatus, there is a railway that climbs at a gradient so steep it looks almost unreal. The Pilatus Railway is the steepest cogwheel railway in the world, with a maximum gradient of up to 48%. That means the train does not simply roll upward like a normal train. It grips the mountain through a special cogwheel system, climbing meter by meter from Alpnachstad toward Pilatus Kulm. Look at it from the side, and the track seems to rise like a ladder. The train crawls upward, beside cliffs, meadows, rock faces, and open slopes. Below, Lake Lucerne spreads out like a painting. Above, the mountain waits. This railway is dangerous not because it is poorly built. It is dangerous because it works only through precision. On a normal railway, gravity is an inconvenience. Here, gravity is the main enemy. If a regular train tried to climb this slope, it would fail. Wheels alone would not be enough. The Pilatus Railway survives because of its cog system, designed to lock the train to the track and control the climb. That is what makes it so fascinating. The danger has not disappeared. It has been engineered into obedience. Every journey depends on the teeth of the rail, the mechanics of the train, the maintenance of the system, and the discipline of a design that has been operating since the 19th century. Passengers may see alpine beauty, but underneath that beauty is a simple fact. This train is climbing a mountain at an angle that should make rail travel impossible, and yet it still runs. Stop for a moment and think about what we have seen. A train passing through a market where people step back by inches. A railway crossing the sea, exposed to wind and salt. A tiny Himalayan train negotiating landslides, streets, and mountain curves. A rainforest railway carved into cliffs above deep ravines. A gold rush line climbing through Alaska's cold gorges. A railway built through the suffering of war. A train that climbs into the clouds of Argentina. A Peruvian line stitched through the Andes with tunnels and bridges. A railway crossing the frozen roof of the world. And finally, a Swiss mountain train climbing a slope so steep it needs teeth to survive. What do all these railways have in common? They are still in use. That is the most incredible part. They are not museum models. They are not dead tracks swallowed by weeds. They are living machines, carrying people through places where nature never gave permission. Cliffs, markets, jungles, mountains, frozen plains, sea bridges, high-altitude deserts. Every one of these railways exists because someone, somewhere, looked at impossible terrain and said, "Build the track anyway." But the danger never truly left. It was measured, managed, inspected, reduced, but not erased. A dangerous railway is not always one that kills. Sometimes it is one that reminds us how fragile travel really is. A few steel lines, a few wheels, a bridge, a tunnel, a mountain wall, a drop into empty air, and trust. That is what passengers carry every time they board. Trust in engineers, trust in maintenance crews, trust in weather reports, trust in the idea that the track ahead is still there. So the next time you sit on a train and feel it moving smoothly beneath you, remember this: somewhere on Earth, another train is crossing a sea bridge in the wind. Another is climbing a mountain with gears locked into steel. Another is passing through a market where life moves aside just in time. And another is rolling across frozen ground at the roof of the world. Write in the comments which railway you would dare to ride. And if this journey showed you a side of the world you had never seen before, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more cinematic stories about dangerous places, impossible engineering, lost history, and the strange corners of Earth where humans still choose to go.